In the world of electric cars, everyone thought Tesla was untouchable. The king. The pioneer. The company that changed the entire industry while every other automaker watched in shock. But while the world stared at Elon Musk and his headlines, something else was happening in silence. Something slow. Something strategic. Something invisible to most people in the West. Because far away from California, in a quiet factory city in southern China, a different company was rising. And not with noise, not with hype, not with celebrity tweets. It rose with patience. With math. With planning. And with a strategy so subtle that most analysts completely missed it. That company was BYD. And today, whether people accept it or not, BYD has reportedly become the world's largest EV maker by volume. A company many Americans and Europeans had never even heard of is now shaping the future of electric transportation. And this didn't happen by accident. BYD didn't just compete with Tesla, it outsmarted it. Quietly. Calmly. And with one of the most calculated strategies in modern industrial history. Let's uncover how. The story begins in the early 2000s, long before electric cars were cool, long before Tesla was on magazine covers, and long before governments were offering EV subsidies. At that time, BYD wasn't even making cars. It was a small, unknown battery manufacturer in China. But this detail, this small origin, might be the most important part of the entire story. Because while Tesla entered the world as a car company trying to learn battery technology, BYD entered as a battery company learning how to build cars. And in the EV world, batteries are the heart, the brain, the cost, and the power. Almost everything depends on them. Weight. Range. Price. Safety. Supply chain. And margin. So from day one, BYD understood batteries at a deeper level than any traditional automaker. They understood how to scale them, how to control quality, how to reduce cost, and how to build factories that didn't rely on foreign suppliers. While Tesla must still work with Panasonic, CATL, and others, BYD learned to control almost the entire chain under one roof. But that's just the beginning. In those early years, the global market wasn't paying attention to China's new EV experiments. Western consumers barely cared about electric cars. Many believed EVs were toys or niche products. Even Tesla struggled with profitability and production issues for over a decade. Yet BYD was moving silently, improving battery chemistry, expanding factories, and building low-cost models for the domestic Chinese market. Reportedly, BYD focused on something Tesla never prioritized: affordability. Not luxury. Not speed. Not futuristic doors or giant touchscreens. BYD's mission was simple: build an electric car the average person could actually buy. High volume. Low margin. Consistent growth. A perfect match for China's rising middle class. And while Tesla built a global premium brand, BYD built an industrial machine. But here's where things get interesting. BYD didn't just grow, it adapted. In 2016, the company made a decision that shocked many insiders. It shifted away from older battery tech and doubled down on something safer and cheaper: LFP, or lithium iron phosphate batteries. At that time, most Western analysts dismissed LFP. They said the range was too low, the density wasn't good enough, and Western drivers wouldn't accept it. But BYD wasn't looking at Western drivers. It was looking ahead. 10 years ahead. Because LFP batteries had two advantages nobody could ignore forever: they were safe, and they were cheap. And in a world where EV adoption would eventually depend on price rather than luxury, BYD was preparing for a future most companies didn't see coming. So while Tesla was focused on performance and high-end features, BYD was building the engine of mass adoption. That brings us to the pandemic years. The entire world slowed down. Production lines froze. Supply chains broke. But in China, something unusual happened. BYD didn't just keep producing, it expanded. They built more factories. They integrated more supply chains. They controlled more raw materials. And they multiplied battery production when others were cutting back. So when the world reopened, Tesla and almost every other automaker faced shortages. Chip shortages. Battery shortages. Shipping problems. Rising material costs. But BYD didn't. BYD had already secured everything it needed, in-house. This was the moment the world realized BYD wasn't just an automaker. It was a vertically integrated empire. But Western audiences weren't aware yet. Because the next move BYD made was the one that would quietly change the global EV landscape. While Tesla focused on selling fewer cars at higher margins, BYD went for the opposite. More cars. Lower margins. More market share. More ground. More presence. And this is where the comparison becomes fascinating. Tesla built desire. BYD built supply. Tesla built a brand. BYD built a system. Tesla built excitement. BYD built scale. And as simple as that sounds, scale wins. According to industry researchers, BYD's ability to produce EVs at extremely low cost comes from one simple advantage: it makes almost everything in-house. Motors. Batteries. Semiconductors. Software. Even the little controllers inside the car that many companies must import. When the entire world was fighting over chips, BYD was making its own. This level of control is rare in the car industry. Most automakers outsource almost everything. Tesla outsources a lot too. But BYD? It's practically its own universe. That universe allows BYD to produce models at price points Tesla cannot reach. In China, some BYD models sell for the equivalent of around $11,000 to $15,000, while Tesla's cheapest vehicles cost over 3 times that amount in many markets. For millions of people, the choice becomes simple. An affordable EV or no EV at all. And this is how BYD captured China's domestic market, now the largest EV market on Earth. But that's not the twist. The twist comes when BYD starts exporting. Because quietly, without the dramatic announcements and publicity Tesla generates, BYD has been entering markets across Asia, the Middle East, South America, Africa, and Europe. Not with big marketing campaigns. Not with celebrity promotion. But with one thing that always wins: price. A price that makes EV adoption suddenly possible for entire populations. And just like that, Western analysts started asking a question no one expected 10 years ago: how did this happen? How did Tesla, the company that created the modern EV movement, suddenly face a rival it can't easily beat? The answer is surprisingly simple. BYD won by playing a different game. While Tesla raced forward like a rocket, BYD moved like water, slow, flexible, patient, and always filling the gaps others ignored. And here is where the emotional turning point arrives. Because this story is not just about two companies. It's about what happens when strategy beats fame. When scale beats story. When quiet planning beats loud innovation. Tesla created the spark. BYD built the fire. But now we reach the most dramatic part of the story. The part most people don't know. Because today, as governments push for cheaper EVs, as inflation makes affordability more important, as global supply chains shift, and as countries demand local production, BYD is positioned perfectly for the next global wave. In fact, BYD is building factories outside China for the first time, including in Europe and reportedly considering more global locations. And this changes everything. Because once BYD builds locally, the price advantage becomes even stronger. Tesla still leads in brand power. It leads in software. It leads in high-end performance. But the global EV revolution won't be won by premium cars alone. It will be won by what the average family can afford. And right now, BYD controls that battlefield. Yet the story doesn't end here. Because the real twist, the one that truly reveals how BYD outsmarted Tesla, is not about batteries, or factories, or price. It's about philosophy. Tesla wants to change the world with breakthrough innovation. BYD wants to change the world with accessible production.
The Tesla is amazing,
Tesla
but
wants to
it's
create the
way
future.
out of our budget.
BYD wants
Look
to
at this
mass produce
BYD
it.
though. It's
These
actually
are two
within our
different
price
visions.
range. The Tesla
Two
is
different
amazing,
worlds.
but it's way
But only
out
one
of
can
our
supply
budget.
the billions of cars
Look at
that
this
countries will
BYD
need in the
though.
next
It's
decade.
actually within our price
And that
range.
is why BYD's rise matters to the UK, to the US, to Europe, to every global market. Because it signals a shift. A shift from high-end electric dreams to practical electric reality. A shift from expensive EVs to normal EVs. And a shift from American-led innovation to global-led production. But here's the final emotional turn. This is not the end of Tesla. Not even close. Tesla still shapes the conversation, inspires the industry, and pushes boundaries. It is still the symbol of the EV era. But while Tesla leads the story, BYD leads the numbers. And numbers, eventually, tell the future. So remember this. When people think about who created the modern EV world, they will say Tesla. But when people think about who supplied the modern EV world, they may say BYD. One lit the fuse. The other built the factory. One built the dream. The other built the system. And that is how BYD quietly outsmarted Tesla, and took over the EV market.